So what's the one thing that can truly make or break a school? It's not the fancy building, it's not even the budget. Today, we're going to unlock the secrets behind what might just be the most critical factor in all of education: effective school leadership.
You've probably seen this yourself, right? In your own community even. You've got two schools, maybe just a few miles apart, pretty much the same students, similar resources, and yet, one is just buzzing with energy and achievement, while the other one, well, it's just struggling to keep its head above water. So what gives? What's the real difference?
Well, pretty much everyone agrees that the secret ingredient, more often than not, is leadership. You can kind of think of it like the invisible operating system running in the background. When it's working well, everything just flows. It seamlessly weaves together the teachers, the students, the parents, the whole shebang into a really strong, successful community.
But that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? We all talk about good leadership. We throw that term around all the time. But what does that actually look like in the day-to-day chaos of a school hallway? Seriously, what do you think it is? Is it about being a super efficient manager, a charismatic, inspiring visionary, or maybe someone who brings everyone together to make decisions?
Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into right now. So let's get to it. We're going to break down the different models, take a look at how this all plays out in the real world, and really try to find the keys to unlocking what effective school leadership is all about.
Okay, so first things first. We have to get one really important distinction straight. People use the words leader and manager interchangeably all the time, but they're not the same thing. Not at all. Here's a good way to think about it. The leader is the architect, the one with the vision, who designs the building. The manager is the contractor, who makes sure that building actually gets built, on time, on budget, and exactly to spec.
So leadership, according to this classic definition, is really all about the why and the where are we going. It's the art of influencing people, right? It's about painting a compelling picture of a better future, one that gets people excited and motivated to actually change course and go for something new. It's all about kicking off that change.
And management? Well, that's a different beast entirely. It's the science of the how and the right now. This is that absolutely essential day-to-day grind of keeping the school running like a well-oiled machine. Making sure the buses are on time, the class schedules actually work, and the supplies are where they need to be. It's all about stability.
Yeah, and this breaks it down really nicely. You see, leadership is all about change, vision, people, and purpose. Management, on the other hand, is about maintenance, systems, and procedures. So here's the key takeaway. A truly great school principal has to be fluent in both of these languages. You've got to be able to inspire everyone with a grand vision and make sure the school is organized enough to actually make that vision a reality.
So, you're ready to lead. Awesome. But what kind of leader are you going to be? Because it turns out leadership isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. There are different flavors. Let's take a quick tour of the main styles you're likely to run into.
All right, first up is the managerial leader. Let's call this one the organizer. This is probably the most traditional top-down style, the one a lot of us might picture when we think of a principal. The organizer's world revolves around functions, tasks, and getting things done efficiently. Their authority comes straight from their title on the organizational chart. And their number one goal? To make sure all the rules and mandates from the district or the state are implemented as smoothly as possible. Now, the good thing about this is that it creates a lot of stability and predictability. But the downside? Well, it can feel pretty rigid, and sometimes it can really squash creativity. Now, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you have the transformational leader. We can call this style the visionary. This approach is way less about managing systems and way more about inspiring people.
The visionary's power doesn't come from a title. It comes from getting people to buy in. They work with their staff to build a shared vision for the school, and then they empower everyone to make it happen. A really cool takeaway from this style is the idea of modeling. This means you don't just talk a big game about high expectations, you actually live them out every single day. You become the vision.
And that brings us to our third main style, the participative leader. A better name for this one might be the collaborator. And as you can guess, this whole approach is built on the idea of democracy.
The collaborator's core belief is that the best ideas bubble up from the group itself, so their main job is to set up systems where everyone who has a stake in the school, we're talking teachers, staff, even parents, gets a real say. The huge plus side is you get incredible buy-in from everyone. But here's the tricky part. It can be really slow, and you need some serious skills to lead those meetings so that you actually get decisions made and don't just end up in a stalemate.
Okay, so it's nice to have these neat little boxes, right? The organizer, the visionary, the collaborator. But the real world is messy. It's never that clean. To see how these styles actually crash into each other and mix together, let's look at a real-world case study. South Africa, a country that has dealt with some almost unimaginable challenges in its education system.
This table just lays it out so clearly. Think about post-apartheid South Africa. You absolutely needed strong managerial leaders just to get schools that have been neglected for decades up and running. At the same time, you needed passionate, transformational leaders to drive forward the vision of a fair and equitable system for everyone. Then, you had this huge push for participative leadership, creating things like school governing bodies, which was a revolutionary idea to give parents real power. And all of this is happening while navigating a super intense political landscape. With conflicts between unions and the government, it's a perfect storm of leadership needs.
So that South Africa example just proves it, right? You can't just pick one style off the shelf and hope it works everywhere. So what's a modern school leader supposed to do? Well, in the complex world we live in now, you don't need one favorite tool, you need the whole toolkit.
So after all that, which style is the best? Well, it's kind of a trick question, because the answer is none of them, and also all of them. The most effective leaders today don't stick to a single style. The best style is having all of them ready to go and knowing which one to use when. This brings us to what's called the contingent model of leadership, and it's so practical. I love this analogy. Think of a principal as a doctor. A good doctor doesn't give every single patient the same pill, right? Of course not. Step 1, you diagnose the specific problem. Step 2, you need to have a whole pharmacy of treatments you've mastered. Those are your leadership styles. And step 3, you adapt your response, prescribing the perfect leadership approach for that unique situation at that exact moment. And this quote from Yuval just nails it, doesn't it? Running a school is complex. It's unpredictable. It's just messy. You can't rely on a standardized cookie-cutter response for everything that gets thrown at you. It's not just a bad idea, it's literally impossible. Adaptability, that is the real superpower of a modern leader. But adapt toward what? Exactly. What's the guiding principle, the North Star for every decision a leader makes? Well, this is it. The ultimate goal is something called instructional leadership. It means that no matter which tool you're using from your toolkit, whether you're being a manager, a visionary, or a collaborator, every single action has to be aimed at the school's one true purpose: improving teaching and learning for the kids. I mean, just let this sink in for a second. This statement from that South African report is so powerful. It gives us the ultimate bottom line. It's saying you don't judge how good a principal is by the budget or how nice the building is or even how popular they are. You judge them on one thing and one thing only. Are the students in that school actually learning effectively? That's it. That's the only yardstick that really matters. Which really brings us to our final big idea to chew on. Forget all the other titles like CEO or building manager. What if the true #1 job of a principal, their most essential role, is simply to be the school's leader of learning? And if that's true, what does that mean for you? Whether you're a principal, a teacher, a parent, or just someone who cares about your community, how can you help lead the learning where you are?